think I got it there. I'm going to be giving a series of things that God has done in my life and in our life. With my wife, who is now in heaven, there's a lot of things that God has done with both of us and in one at a time. We'll start off on how I met Jesus. Strange story. I was married, not to my wife that is in heaven, but I was married before, and there's a big messy divorce. And she wouldn't let me see my kids, even though I had limited visitation. It was just a mess, and she's constantly having me in court. Had my money coming in cut off. They didn't even ask me any questions. They just had my money completely cut off, and then took me to court trying to get more money, which I didn't even have. And I got to the point that I was just tired of it, and I really thought of committing suicide. I got my gun. In between all this other stuff that was going on, I met my wife that's in heaven. And we got together, and there was a constant fight between me and my ex, and it was a big mess, And I took Mary Ann, which was my wife, back to North Dakota while I tried to fight my ex. It was a wasted thing there. And I just got so depressed. I lost my 2 children from the first wife, and Mary Ann was pregnant with our second child, and I've lost them now and lost her, and it was a total mess, and I was going to kill myself. So I grabbed my revolver. Get down. I grabbed my revolver, and I cocked it, put it to my temple, and I couldn't pull the trigger. I didn't want to live anymore, but I couldn't pull the trigger. As hard as I tried pulling the trigger, I couldn't. So I even failed there. I was a failure at everything. So the only thing left I knew what to do is took my ex's lawyer's advice. It was her lawyer who told me that he wasn't handling her anymore because she was too unreasonable, and the best advice that he could give me is to disappear. Because the courts put her in control, and there's nothing I could do about it. So I took his advice. I went and loaded everything in the car and drove from Kansas City, Missouri, all the way to Boulder, Colorado. I went up into the mountains, as far away from people as I could get. Pitched my tent in the middle of the woods. I had a 6x6 tent, and I just laid on the ground crying. And the one night when I was laying there, crying and weeping, on a pitch black night on top of the mountain, I broke. I completely broke. I began shaking, weeping uncontrollably, and at that point, I cried out to Jesus. In between my tears, I didn't know who Jesus was. I heard his name, but I didn't know if he existed, whether he was the Son of God. I didn't know anything about Jesus at that point in time. And I just cried out. I went, Jesus, if you're real, I really need you now. And I laid there on the ground crying a little longer. And once again, I cried out, and I go, Jesus, please, if you could hear me, show me a sign or something. I can't go on living like this. And I was laying there, my face sobbing uncontrollably. And then all of a sudden, a bright light shined all around me. I'm in the middle of the woods and pitch black up in there, on top of a mountain. And it's all of a sudden this light just come from everywhere, but yet from nowhere. And then a man appeared. A man appeared in front of me, and I went on my face right then and there, man. I couldn't budge, man. I was scared. I was really scared. I was just laying on the ground, my face on the ground, my hands in front of me, still crying. And all I could see, I knew he had a white robe on, and he had some kind of gold sash or something from his right shoulder over to his left side, coming down there. It's goldish looking. I don't even know what it was. And when I was down on my face, the only thing I could see was his feet, and there were 2 holes on the top of his feet. And then he spoke. This is what he said. I've heard Mary Ann's prayer. Tomorrow you will go back to her, for I have chosen her to be your wife. She's very angry, so take whatever she dishes out, because I have ordained the 2 of you for a specific purpose. It said, and be baptized. And then he was gone. I had laid there probably for 2 or 3 hours, but I had a peace. I had a peace. I can't even explain it. I can't even explain the peace I had. So the next day, I left Boulder, Colorado. I had $20 in my pocket and a full tank of gas. I had to go from Boulder, Colorado to Minot, North Dakota. And I got to Minot, North Dakota with $10 still in my pocket and a half a tank of gas to reunite with Mary Ann when we spent 42 years together before she went home. I stopped at a church on my way out of Boulder and asked the pastor to baptize me, and he did. But I found out I didn't know what baptize meant, really didn't at the time. And I found out later as I grew in the Lord and all this stuff, he meant be baptized in the Holy Spirit, because that's what he came to do, is baptize in the Holy Spirit. So that's the way my walk with the Lord started. And believe me, it's not been a dull walk. There's been many things, which I'm going to go into. This is part 1. There's been so many things that God has done in my life. But the thing, it's not been an easy walk. I guarantee you that. Because, when the devil loses somebody, he gets mad. He does. He gets mad. And he's always putting stumbling blocks in front of me during my walk and all this stuff. But God always brought me through it. So that's the first part. Is how I met Jesus. So I'm going to stop here, get this uploaded and taken care of everything, and then I'm going to start on part 2 of God in our life. You have a blessed day.